She was no bigger than a child's shadow alone, silent, and drowning in a pool no one watched. No alarms, no screams. It's just a soft splash, almost missed by the world. But one human janitor forgotten by most heard what no scanner could. When he dove in, he thought he was saving a life. But what he pulled out wasn't just a girl. It was a living secret, a weapon, a warning. And now, across the stars, something ancient has awakened hunting her, and anyone who dares to protect her. This is where the real story begins. Jack was tired. His shift had just ended. He worked as a cleaner at the Humanitarian Embassy on planet Vailna. It was a quiet place, full of shiny walls, smooth glass, and strange glowing pools made for alien guests. Jack didn't belong there, not really. But no one noticed cleaners, and that was fine by him. That night, the halls were empty. Stars blinked outside the dome roof. Jack dragged his cleaning cart across the floor, listening to the soft hum of machines. But then he stopped. Something had changed. He heard it. A small splash. It was soft. So soft it could have been ignored. But Jack froze. It came from the east wing, the alien garden, the pool. He walked slowly. No one else seemed to care. The guards were chatting far away. The sensors blinked like always, but something felt wrong. His hand gripped the mop tightly. As he turned the corner, cold air touched his skin. The garden was quiet. The glowing blue pool sat in the middle, still as glass. But Jack stepped closer and saw it. A small hand, barely visible, sank into the water. Without thinking, Jack threw off his jacket and dove in. The water was ice cold. He opened his eyes. The glowing light from the pool helped him see. Something was sinking. A tiny figure, limbs too thin, head too big. Not human. An alien child. She wasn't moving. Jack kicked hard, pulled her close, and swam up fast. His chest burned, but he didn't stop until he broke the surface. He gasped for air, lifting the small alien girl onto the pool's edge. Her body was limp. She wasn't breathing. Jack crawled out, shivering. He looked at her silver skin, thin arms, strange glowing marks on her neck. She looked fragile. Too fragile for this world. Come on. Breathe, Jack whispered. He pressed her chest gently. Again. He didn't know alien biology, but he couldn't stop. Then she coughed. Water spilled from her mouth. She opened her eyes. They glowed, bright, white, scared. She stared at him, blinking, lips quivering. "You're okay now," Jack said, his voice soft. "You're safe." She didn't speak. She just shivered. Jack wrapped her in his jacket. She didn't resist. She was freezing, wet, and tiny like a doll. Footsteps echoed. Guards rushed in. "What's going on?" one asked. Jack stood between them and the girl. She was drowning. I pulled her out. The guards looked confused. No records show anyone entering the garden. One said, "She was here." Jack snapped. Asked the sensors again. But the sensors had no data. No entry log. No warning. Like she didn't exist. The girl looked at the guards and shrank back behind Jack's leg. "She's scared," Jack said. "We should take her inside. Get her warm." One guard nodded slowly. "Fine, but she's not on the guest list. We'll report this to the main board." Jack carried her gently. She didn't weigh much. Her arms clung to his neck, weak but trusting. Inside the medical bay, the machines couldn't scan her properly. Her readings flickered. The medbot blinked red. Unknown species. No match found. Jack stayed with her through the night. She didn't eat. She didn't talk. She just sat wrapped in his jacket, eyes wide, staring at shadows like they might move. At midnight, she finally pointed. "At the pool." "At the water," Jack frowned. "What is it?" She moved her fingers in the air. A shape. A circle. A triangle. Then her hand dropped. She was too tired to continue. Jack didn't understand, but he felt it in his bones. Something had followed her. Something she was running from, and the embassy, it wasn't ready. The alien girl didn't say a word. She sat on the bed, wrapped in Jack's old jacket, knees pulled up to her chest. Her skin still glowed faintly under the dim lights. Her silver hair clung to her forehead. Her wide eyes watched everything but never blinked much, like she didn't trust this place. Jack sat nearby, pretending to fix the same broken drone he'd already repaired twice, but his eyes kept going back to her. She didn't speak, she didn't move, she didn't even cry. "Do you have a name?" Jack asked, trying again. No answer. "Can you understand me?" The girl stared at the floor. Jack sighed. "Okay, ... just rest. You're safe here." But something inside Jack whispered, she doesn't feel safe. Later, the embassy doctor came. A tall robot with a soft voice scanned her. "No matching species found in the galactic registry," it said. "Her biology is unknown, possibly off-record or hidden race. Should be studied at the main lab." "No," Jack said quickly. "She's not a science project. You are not her guardian." "I saved her," Jack said. "That makes me something." The robot blinked. Emotional attachment noted. Jack looked at the girl. She still didn't speak. But when the medbot tried to touch her, she flinched and turned toward Jack. That was enough for him. "I'll look after her," he said. The medbot left, confused. That night, Jack brought her to his small room in the lower staff quarters. It wasn't much. A single bed, a table, and a cracked screen on the wall. But it was warm and quiet. She stood near the corner, afraid to sit. Jack got a blanket and laid it on the floor. "You can rest there," he said gently. She looked at the blanket, then at Jack, and slowly nodded. He watched her curl up, arms around her knees. He turned off the lights but left a small glow stick near her, just in case. Around midnight, Jack woke up to a sound. Scratching. He opened his eyes and saw the girl crouched beside the table. She had taken a stick of dry food and was using it to draw in the dust on the floor. Shapes, circles, stars. A long curved line. A falling triangle. A shadow with claws. Jack sat up. "What are you drawing?" She looked at him. Then, slowly, she pointed at one of the circles. Then the triangle. Then the claw. She wasn't just drawing. She was remembering a ship. Jack guessed. "You came in a ship." She nodded. "And the claw that chased you?" She didn't move. Her tiny hands started to shake. Jack came closer and knelt beside her. "It's okay. You're safe now." She suddenly reached out and grabbed his sleeve. Her hands were cold. Her eyes locked on his. And then she whispered one word. Just one. "Run?" Jack's heart stopped. He didn't imagine it. Her lips had moved. Her voice was small, broken, but real. "Run." "From what?" he asked softly. "Who's after you?" She pointed to the window. Stars outside, but something darker. "They followed you here?" Jack asked. She said nothing. Her hand let go. She backed away, curling into the corner again. Jack didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, the embassy was too quiet. Jack noticed the lights flickering. The security bots moved slower. Doors didn't respond on time. He felt something in the air, a pressure. Like the silence before a storm, he checked the security feed on his screen. One of the cameras showed static, then another, then another. Jack looked at the girl. She sat still on the bed, but her eyes, they were already staring at the door, like she knew. Jack locked the door. It was a heavy old door knot meant for protection, just privacy. But tonight it felt like the only thing between them and something waiting outside. The lights flickered again. This time it wasn't just the hallway. Even the glow strip in his room blinked like a dying star. Jack turned toward the little alien girl. She sat on the floor, quiet as always, but now she was drawing again. This time, not with food or fingers. She had taken a broken piece of metal from his repair kit and used it to carve into the floor. Jack knelt beside her. "What are you showing me?" he whispered. She didn't answer. She just kept carving. First, she made a big circle. Then she added dots around it, moons, maybe. Then came long, sharp lines stretching down from above. Then the worst part, a shadow, a large shape with many arms. Jack watched her hand tremble as she carved that one. He recognized fear when he saw it. "That's what you ran from, isn't it?" Jack asked. The girl stopped. She pointed to the shadow. Then she pressed her palm against her chest. "They were after you," Jack said. Her hand moved to the stars she had drawn next. Jack stared at it. "Earth," he guessed. "They're going to Earth." She nodded slowly. Jack's throat tightened. "You came here to warn us." She stared at him with her glowing eyes. But she didn't nod this time. Instead, she looked down. Like she didn't believe warning anyone would matter. Jack stood up and paced. Something big was happening, something no one knew about. The embassy staff was clueless. The guards still joked in the lounge. The scanners said all clear. But this girl, this tiny alien girl, was proof something terrible had already slipped through. He turned to her. "We need to tell someone," he said. "We'll go to the high officer. I'll listen." But she shook her head fast. "No." She pointed to the door, then slowly drew her hand across her neck, a cutting motion. Jack swallowed hard. "If we tell them, they'll kill you." She nodded once. He sat down beside her again. "Why? What makes you so important?" The girl looked at Amand for the first time. Something changed in her face. Sadness. She slowly lifted the sleeve of her small arm. Underneath, hidden by the jacket, her skin was not silver. It was glowing gold. And beneath the glow, a pattern pulsed. Not veins, not wounds, but symbols, shapes, code. Jack leaned in. "What is that?" She looked into his eyes, then whispered. "Key." Jack leaned back. "Key to what?" She looked away. That was all she could say. Suddenly, bang. The lights went out. Complete darkness. Jack jumped to his feet. Red emergency light blinked once, then twice, then stopped. No sound, no alarm. But Jack heard it. A low humming, not from machines, from outside the room. He grabbed a metal pipe from under the bed. It was the only thing he had. He turned toward the girl. "Get behind me." But she didn't move. She stood still, eyes locked on the door. She raised one finger and pointed. Jack turned. A shadow moved under the gap in the door. Something tall, something silent, and it had no footsteps. Jack stepped back. The girl whispered again. "Hunter." He reached out and took her hand. She didn't resist. Together, they backed away toward the corner of the room. The door's lock began to blink red. "Override," a robotic voice said on the other side. They had technology. They weren't kicking the door down. They were unlocking it. "Where can we hide?" Jack whispered. The girl pointed at the wall panel. Ventilation shaft. Small, narrow, just big enough for her. "No," Jack said. "I'm not letting them take you again." She touched his hand and shook her head. Jack hesitated, but helped her climb into the shaft. She looked at him one last time, then vanished into the shadows. The door lock turned green, and Jack turned to face whoever wore whatever was coming for her. The door opened without a sound. Jack stood in the middle of the room, metal pipe tight in his grip, heart punching his ribs. Red light from the hallway leaked inside, flickering like dying fire. But what entered the room was not light. It was darkness. A tall figure stepped through the doorway. Its body was thin to thin, covered in smooth black armor that didn't reflect anything. But what scared Jack the most was its face. There were no eyes, just a smooth mask of dark metal, shaped like a skull. The hunter, the same one the alien girl had drawn. Jack forced himself not to move, not to breathe. The hunter turned its head left, then right, listening, scanning. Even without eyes, it seemed to look straight through him. A cold voice came from its mask. Target present. Recent activity detected. Another shape slid into the room, crawling along the ceiling like a spider made of bone. It also had no eyes, but its movements were fast, sharp, deadly. Jack gripped his metal pipe tighter. He'd faced danger before street fights, survival on rough colonies, angry men in dark alleys. But this was different. These things didn't breathe like normal creatures. They didn't shift, didn't blink. They hunted by sensing energy, heat, movement, life. Jack wondered if they could hear his heartbeat. The taller hunter spoke again. Extract the keybearer. Jack's voice broke out before he could stop it. She's not here. The hunter turned toward him. It listened. You are protecting her, it said in a cold whisper, almost calm. No, Jack lied. I don't even know what she is. The hunter tilted its head. Your heart rate increased. Your voice patterns show resistance. Jack stepped back. I don't care what your scanners say. She's gone. The spider-like hunter dropped from the ceiling right in front of him, its limbs twitching slowly like blades preparing to strike. Jack swung the pipe as hard as he could. Metal cracked against its armor. The thing didn't flinch, not even a little. It grabbed the pipe with two sharp claws and crushed it like paper. Then its mask opened slightly, releasing a clicking sound like a creature smelling fear. Jack backed into the wall. His hands shook. The tall hunter raised one arm. A red scanner line traced across the room, searching. It moved toward the ventilation panel where the girl had escaped. Jack stepped in front of it. No. The hunter paused. You would defend her, it said. Illogical. You do not share her species. You have no genetic link, no responsibility. She's just a kid, Jack said, breathing hard. And I pulled her out of the water. That means something. The hunter moved closer. Jack felt its cold presence, like a shadow that stole heat. Human sentiment, it said, its corrupted logic. Then its hand grabbed Jack by the throat. Jack choked as his feet lifted off the ground. The hunter's grip was icy, crushing. His vision blurred, but he still grabbed the hunter's wrist, trying to free himself. In the vent above, he heard a faint sound, scratching. The girl was still there, watching. Jack tried to speak. Run, don't come out. The hunter raised him higher. Your termination is unnecessary, but your removal will simplify extraction. Jack's face turned red. His lungs begged for air. Then suddenly, the lights exploded back on. Bright white, blinding. The hunters recoiled. Their eyeless masks twitched violently. Thea stumbled backward, confused, almost in pain. The embassy's emergency lights had activated. Not by accident. Someone had triggered them. Jack fell to the ground, coughing, gripping his neck. He looked up. The girl stood at the control panel near the door. She must have crawled through the vents to reach it. Her small hands shook. Her chest rose and fell fast. But she didn't run. She didn't hide. She stood there glowing, faintly, and stared at the hunters. The tall hunter hissed. Keybearer detected. Jack didn't. Know where he found the strength, but he grabbed the fallen metal pipe pieces and threw them at the panel. Sparks flew. The door slammed shut, locking the hunters inside. Jack grabbed the girl's hand. We need to move. Now. She nodded, eyes wide with fear. Together, they ran through the hallway as alarms began to scream across the embassy. Behind them, the hunters pounded against the sealed door. It wouldn't hold long. The chase had begun, and the girl's warning whispered in Jack's ears again. Run. Jack ran like he hadn't in years. Boots slammed across the smooth embassy floor. Red lights flashed all around. Security alarms screamed in alien tones. But none of that mattered. Behind him, he heard metal claws scraping the walls. The hunters were loose again. Beside him, the alien girl struggled to keep up. Her small feet couldn't move fast. So Jack did the only thing he could. He scooped her up into his arms and kept running. Her arms wrapped tightly around his neck. Her heartbeat was fast, but her face was calm. Too calm, like she had been running her whole life. They reached the service tunnels under the embassy. Old and dusty, they hadn't been used in years. Jack slammed the hatch shut behind them and dropped to one knee, gasping for air. The girl reached out and touched his hand. Her skin still glowed, faint, golden, pulsing softly. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. Then her lips moved. "Why?" He frowned. "Why? What? Why do you help me?" Jack paused, because no one else would. She stared at him like she didn't understand. "No one saved me when I was small," Jack said quietly. "Not until it was too late." The girl lowered her head. Jack stood up and looked down the tunnel. "We need to disappear. They'll search every hallway, every room, but they won't expect us to go outside the zone." She tilted her head. "Outside is forbidden." Jack gave a crooked smile. "Good. That means they'll follow rules. We won't." At the outer gate, a squad of security bots stopped them. "Unauthorized movement detected," said the lead drone. "Surrender the unregistered entity for processing." Jack stepped forward. "She's a guest under my protection. You do not have Guardian-level clearance. I do now." Jack growled and flashed a stolen keycard he had taken from the medbot's drawer. The bot scanned it. "This is unauthorized." Jack didn't wait. He pulled the emergency lever. Alarms screamed again as the door burst open. Cold wind blasted their faces. Jack grabbed the girl's hand and ran. Behind them, the bots shouted, "Alert! Human has stolen classified alien asset." They ran into the wastelands, out past the shining city towers, beyond the glowing road lights, into the dirt and dust of the moon's edge. Old broken ships lay forgotten in the dark, crashed, rusted, dead. Jack found a wreck with a sealed cargo bay. He used a crowbar to pry the doors open. Inside, it was dusty and cold. Perfect. He set her down gently. "We'll stay here," he said. "For how long?" she asked, barely above a whisper. Jack looked up at the cracked ceiling of the ship. "As long as it takes." Over the next few days, they survived on old rations Jack kept in a stashed survival kit. He taught her small things: how to fix a heater coil, how to clean a scanner, how to boil water from the moisture vents. She learned fast, too fast. And one night, she spoke again. "My name is Elri." Jack smiled. "Nice to meet you, Alari. You are Jack." He nodded. "That's me." She tilted her head. "Why do humans name things?" Jack laughed. "Because it helps us remember. A K-name means someone matters." She went quiet. Then softly said, "I never had a name before." Jack's chest tightened. "You do now," he said. But the peace didn't last. Late one night, while Jack was repairing a motion sensor, Ilari collapsed. She clutched her chest, glowing too brightly. Her eyes rolled back. Jack caught her before she hit the floor. "Ilari, hey, stay with me." Her skin burned hot. Her blood pulsed with golden light, but her body looked weaker, smaller. The symbols on her skin were changing, moving like code, rewriting itself. "What's happening to you?" Jack whispered. Ilari opened her eyes for a second. "They lied. I'm not just a key." Jack leaned in. "Then what are you?" Her voice was faint. "I'm a door." Jack held Alari in his arms. Her skin glowed brighter now, not silver or gold, but white, like starlight. Lines of symbols ran up her arms, across her neck, and onto her face. They weren't tattoos. They moved, pulsed, like living language. She was burning up from the inside. He laid her down on the old ship's metal floor and grabbed his scanner. The small screen buzzed with strange colors. No match found. No species registered. No DNA type available. Jack stared at the final line on the scanner. Classified genetic structure. Warning, biotech encryption detected. "What are you?" he whispered. Alari opened her eyes. Her voice was barely a breath. I wasn't made to live. I was made to open." Jack frowned. "Open what?" She looked at the stars through a crack in the ship wall. "A weapon. A gate. A cure. Depends. Who uses me?" Jack's stomach turned. "Wait, you're telling me your blood is a key?" Alari nodded slowly. "They put code in me. Locked it with life. I can't unlock it, lest I bond with someone." Jack shook his head. "So, the hunters? They want to use you." "No," she whispered. "They want to destroy me. Because others want to use me." Jack sat beside her, trying to breathe. The truth was heavier than anything he'd imagined. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Laurie looked at him. "Because you looked at me like, I was real. Not a tool, not a threat." Suddenly, the ship shook. Jack jumped up. "Movement outside," the sensor said. "Stealth signatures detected." The hunters had found them. Jack looked at Alari. She was too weak to run. "I won't let them take you," he said. Alari touched his hand. "You don't have to fight. Just let me go." "No, you'll die." "I've already died once," Jack said, eyes dark with old pain, "when I stopped caring." "You made me feel again." Outside, a sharp screech echoed through the valley. A blade pierced the ship wall. The hunters were cutting through. Jack rushed to the back of the ship. He had one plan left: a broken cryopod. It could freeze Alari just long enough. He might distract the hunters and lead them away. He ran diagnostics. The pod still worked. "Barely. Alari, get in." "No, please. I can't protect you if you stay awake. I won't wake up again." Jack knelt beside her. "I'll come back. I swear." Tears glistened in her glowing eyes. "You're lying." Jack pressed his forehead to hers. "Then I'll lie forever. But I'll still come back." Slowly, she nodded. He helped her into the pod. Her body shimmered like crystal. She looked up at him one last time. "Thank you for giving me a name." Then the cryopod hissed shut. A cold mist spread around it. The wall finally broke. A hunter entered, tall and silent, followed by 3 more. Shh. Jack stepped into the open. Alone. The hunter scanned him. "Where is the key?" "Gone," Jack said. "She's gone." "You are protecting an extinction threat." "No," Jack said. "I'm protecting a child." The hunter raised its weapon. Jack didn't move. But before the blast came, a loud shriek echoed from the sky. Bright light burst outside the ship. Ships, not enemy ships. Alliance ships. Human ships. Someone had traced the distress signal Jack secretly activated hours ago. The hunters hissed. They turned to run, but it was too late. Fire rained down from above. The battle lit the valley like daylight. Hours later, the battlefield was silent. Jack stood with a medic beside the cryopod. His face was bruised. His arm burned from a laser graze, but he was alive. The pod opened. Alari gasped for breath. Her first word, "Jack." He smiled weakly. "Told you I'd come back." She sat up, blinking. The markings on her skin were fading. The glow now gentle. A human officer stepped forward. "Who is she?" Jack looked at Alari, then turned to the officer. She's the reason we're alive. 3 weeks passed. The battles had ended. The hunters were gone, destroyed or scattered. The embassy was rebuilt. The galaxy moved on. But Jack didn't. He sat beside Alari every day in the medical wing of a high-security research station floating above Velna. She was healing, slowly, but not like a normal child. The marks on her skin now glowed only when she slept. Her eyes had turned silver again, calmer than before, but she spoke less and smiled almost never. Something inside her had changed. Jack saw it. And he feared what it meant. One morning, Alari stood by the large window overlooking the planet below. Her reflection flickered in the glass like a ghost. "They still want to study me," she said. Jack stayed silent. "They're afraid I might be a weapon." "You're not," Jack said. "I could be." Jack walked to her side. "You could be a lot of things, but you chose to be kind. That's what makes you different." Elri looked down at the swirling clouds of Velna. "I had a dream," she said softly, "of a pool, but not water, stars. And I dived into it." Jack frowned. "Was it memory?" She whispered. "A message that night, everything changed." The alarms rang again. The defense grid went down. Known signals were detected approaching from deep space. Ships with no design, no signatures, no heat. Silent, dark. Waiting. "They're not hunters," the officer said. "They're older, bigger. They didn't come for war. They're here for her." Jack stood up. "Then they can leave. She's under our protection." But the ships didn't fire. They just sent a signal, a simple message. "Return the key. The universe must decide." The scientists were confused. The soldiers were scared. But Alari wasn't. She looked at Jack and said, "I know what to do." He shook his head. "No, not again. We just saved you." "This isn't about saving me," she said. "It's about unlocking the truth. They're not here to kill. They're here to watch what happens next." Jack stepped closer. "What if they're lying?" She looked at him, eyes full of light. "Then I'll show them that even a weapon can choose peace." They took her to the floating pool on the research station, a perfect circle of energy used to study quantum gates. She said it was the right place. Everyone watched from behind glass walls. Jack stood at the edge, refusing to move. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I do," Elari replied. "I'm not the only one like me. But I might be the first to finish what they started." Jack clenched his fists. "You'll come back, right?" She smiled. A soft, small smile. "If you believe hard enough." "Maybe." She stepped onto the surface of the glowing pool. It didn't ripple. It welcomed her. Her body shimmered with light. Symbols glowed across her skin again, faster, stronger, like fire. Then she looked at Jack one last time, and she dove down into the pool. Into the light. Into the stars. Silence. The water turned bright white. Then exploded into beams that shot across the station, into the sky, into space. The dark ships vanished, gone without a trace. No battle, no message, just peace. And the pool. It was empty. Still, she was gone. Jack stood alone by the pool's edge. No one moved. No one spoke. The officers slowly backed away, leaving him there. He dropped to his knees, not crying, not shouting, just breathing. Because in that moment he felt two things, loss and hope. Months passed. Jack returned to his work. Quiet life, simple repairs, no medals, no news stories. Just one memory that never faded. Until one day, someone knocked on his door. He opened it. A small child stood there, silver skin, glowing eyes, and a smile just like hers. She held a strange device in her hand and said, "My mother said if I ever needed help, I should find the man who dove into the pool." Jack froze. The child stepped forward and added softly, "She called you her hero."